So next, I'm delighted to welcome back Jamie Bristow. I'm sure many of you will remember Jamie from past conferences when he shared his previous work on the All-Party Parliamentary Mindfulness Groups. And he is also a key influence in the Inner Development Goals movement. And today he's going to talk about how we navigate collapsing systems and facilitate transformation. So it's wonderful to see you again, Jamie. Welcome back.
Really lovely to be here, and we had a fantastic sort of introduction there at the beginning, taking a little look at how difficult it's going to be to make the transition that we need to make, and in so many ways, the work that's being done isn't being done fast enough, deep enough, and in a radical enough way for us to avoid the degradation of our current systems in an inelegant way, to say the least, and the movement towards these sort of circular systems that was illustrated there the path there is likely to be rocky, and there will be a way in which the calls from scientists that we are 5 minutes to midnight, and we need to make deep changes now, otherwise there will be sort of climate collapse or degradation, haven't been heeded, and so we now need to kind of accept, I think, a new reality, particularly this year with another disappointing COP, the election of Trump, and right-wing surge across Europe, the hottest year on record, etc. That we are now looking at a unavoidable climate disruption, which will lead to, in the short term at least, a very different context. And so what I'm going to do now is just share with you a model which we've published as an opinion piece in the climate news website DSMOG. Really, an updated title for this might be The Evolution of Hope, or sort of 6 reasons why we must escape a kind of binary of optimism and despair and evolve what we hope for. Many of the things that Susan's inspiring introduction are possible, but perhaps on the other side of this kind of rocky road through disruption. So the first thing I think we need to accept is it's no longer 5 minutes to midnight. Scientists in large numbers, 95% of scientists now saying that safe climate change, or 1.5 degrees, is now in the rear view mirror, and that this will in some ways degrade our systems, and some systems will likely fail. If you speak to people in agriculture or the insurance industry, we have big phase shifts coming because our current human systems are predicated on a stable and largely conflict-free environment. The next thing is that these risks can cascade. So failure in one area, say financial systems, or conflict in important bottleneck places in the world, failure in our satellite systems, or will cascade into other areas, triggering what we might term partial systems collapse. But the next thing to kind of be cognizant of is that this collapse doesn't equal the end of the world. And because we have this binary that's offered to us, either we need to have stubborn optimism that it's still 5 minutes to midnight and we still are going to be able to turn it around just in time, because if we don't, the consequences are too difficult to accept. And then our mind kind of, the other option is that's held over us, is that this will be the end of things, and there's no middle path. So the fifth is that there are actually many paths, many messy middle paths between what the techno-optimists might suggest is possible and what those are labeled sort of doomers say. So we need to sort of stay open, I think, to both of these positions, or find a more nuanced middle path through them, evolving what we hope for. And what we can hope, I think, is that the new paradigms that many of us working on the peripheries here, and are represented amongst the panelists today, are still on the peripheries, partly because people's appetite for change isn't deep enough. And although we wouldn't wish it upon ourselves, and many scary things and the potential for authoritarian capture and continued decline, etc., is a very real threat, deep crisis also can lead to deep transformation. And in the words of a Zen teaching story, when asked, when do people change, their master says, when they have to. And so we're left looking at these different pathways through of reducing system order and complexity. We have this first field of action, which is super important still. Every fraction of a degree of climate warming matters. But those different pathways will lead to a second phase where resilience and preservation become absolutely key, even when we're looking at collapse scenarios, because it's possible that those dips through that period could lead to recovery, and a third phase of action where repair, renewal, and regeneration are more possible. So I can't really go into this detail now because I've already gone over my time, I think. But we have fleshed this out in an opinion piece called "Between Optimism and Despair: The Messy Middle Paths through Climate Breakdown." And I've spent the last 6 months researching the implications, particularly of the second field of action, work that we can do now in order to change our trajectory. And one thing that's very clear, as we mentioned already, that investment in the social fabric and psychosocial resilience is going to be absolutely key, both for climate action now, but particularly for this potentially civilizational bottleneck that may well be ahead of us. Okay, thank you, Susan.
Jamie, I think these perspectives, grounded in realism and grounded optimism, are essential, and the inner skills for change are so vital for our society to heal and evolve. And the more people that we can move into this awareness, the closer we can get to that collective shift in consciousness that we need for the real world practical changes along the lines of what Simon was proposing. So thank you.